Hello and welcome to Baseball Barbacast, the only baseball podcast in the world with no pitch count. I'm Jake Mintz. That's Jordan Shusterman. And we will pod as long as you let us.
I'm ready to go. You know, we try and keep our pitch count under an hour here. I don't know what the equivalent of that would be for Jared Jones getting taken out after 59 pitches or whatever, looking like Jacob deGrom. But you can't stop us today. We will. I think we might talk. I could talk longer about Jared Jones than Jared Jones pitched on Tuesday night.
It was, as someone who was in the audience, I was disappointed. We'll talk about it more later, but it was the equivalent of going to a concert and then the artist you came to see played 5 songs. And you were like, but there were more songs.
They were good songs, though. I mean, he did play some of your favorites.
Some of the best.
It's not like you could still argue you got your money's worth, even though you were obviously there working for free. Jake Mintz, it is Wednesday. Tomorrow represents the 3-week mark of the season. And the first half of this show, we are going to just run through all 30 teams and just tell you, are we feeling better, the same, or worse through 3 weeks? I have been tasked this far over at Yahoo for producing our power rankings, and I just did again yesterday. It's a very silly exercise this early in the season. Every time you move a team around, you feel like that is why am I overreacting? And then you watch one game and you think, oh my God, I need to drop this team 10 spots. When every game is still such a small percentage of the team's overall, winning percentage, it feels that dramatic. But we're going to keep it simple here. We're go through all 30 teams and tell you, are we feeling better? Are we feeling the same? Or are we feeling worse about them than when we did on opening day? So that'll be the first half of our show.
Yes. And I think what's important is we're trying to find meaning in a very small sample. That being said, there are meaningful data points in the noise that do change how we feel. We're also going off of how we felt to start the season. So there are certain teams where I was really high or you were really low. And that's going to affect kind of how we talk about these clubs today on April 17th. So let's just begin. Let's fly through it and begin where else in the AL East Coast bias, no better place. And we'll begin at the top of the division, where the 12-6 New York Yankees, coming off a loss last night. Oh my God, the Bronx is burning.
L3. Watch out. Are we still feeling better about the Yankees? I am.
So you feel better about the Yankees now than you did at the on opening day?
Only slightly. I wouldn't say it's that dramatic. I think that because of their record, it's been able to be like, oh, Garrett Cole's out, sure, whatever. I feel it's only slightly better because the pitching, while I think the infrastructure, I agree, we've said this many times, we trust. I've seen enough okay, I don't totally trust still what they have behind it. Whereas the offense has, I think, been more encouraging outside of Gleyber. So I feel better, but not that much better.
I would say the biggest concern I have with the Yankees so far, and producer Hart's pointed this out to us, is the bullpen strikeouts per 9 is the lowest in baseball. 6.72 strikeouts per 9 for Yankee relievers compared to the Twins, who have an 11.42 strikeouts per 9. They're the top in baseball. Now, some of that will probably return to equilibrium over the course of the season, but the Yankees relievers are also, I believe, have the luckiest home run to fly ball rate so far this season. And so it's, they have a fortunate home run to fly ball rate, not the best, but it's just there's reason to be concerned there, but the offense is good enough that I feel slightly better about the Yankees than I did at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say on this is the reason why strikeouts are going to be important for the Yankees is because the defense is maybe not good. At all. So we would be putting fewer balls in play would probably be best. But I think we both feel slightly better about the Yankees. Let's talk about your Baltimore Orioles, who look exquisite. They've won 3 in a row. I feel the same. I was bullish and I felt good, and the offense is pretty much what we could have hoped it could have been. And so nothing has changed my mind drastically. They've looked good and I feel good.
Still a lot of concerns with the starting pitching, especially now that Tyler Wells is going on the IL. John Means is not back yet. Good to see Kyle Bradish. He looked really good in his rehab start yesterday, actually, which is encouraging. And then the breakout of Colton Cowser has been a lovely, lovely development. As a whole, though, you're right. I feel the same. Not a whole lot of change to the needle for the Orioles. Let's move on to the 10 and 8 Tampa Bay Rays.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you at on Tampa?
Slightly worse. Slightly worse because, again, their bullpen issues, while I don't think they'll be as bad as they will be, this is just, we knew it was going to be an anonymous group, but they've just had some ugly, I know they managed to win one against the Angels last night in an absolute anytime a game goes past, weird one. Even 11 or 12 innings now is just shocking. But their stuff on the mound is not as deep. I like what they have in the rotation still, but depth is just not really there, and the offense is still kind of hit or miss. So slightly worse. I still am not writing them off as a postseason team, but slightly worse for me.
I feel about the same. The offense has kind of held firm with Paredes and Richie Palacios and Rene Pinto. Even though Yandy and Randy haven't been great to start the year, their underlying batted ball stuff says that they're going to be okay. It's not too much cause for concern. So I think once Yandy and Randy kind of get back to where they should be, that'll even out with some of the pitching things. And like Tampa has shown such an impressive ability to pull relievers out of their tush that I think I'm just going to trust them until they fail me. And so for that reason, I'm kind of staying steady on Tampa. Toronto also 10 and 8. I am the same on Toronto, but it's not in the way I expected because I am very encouraged by Jose Barrios, who looks back to like Twins Jose Barrios. But I am very concerned about Kevin Gausman, whose fastball velocity is down a tick and a half already, or this year compared to last year, and his results have reflected that shift.
He was dealing with injuries already. I mean, it's good to see him pitching, but it's hard not to wonder if that's been impacting him. But yeah, just to see the Blue Jays and Rays both in the bottom 5 in ERA plus right now, considering what they've done over recent seasons, is pretty shocking. And so, for that reason, I think I have to say worse, especially when it's not like we've been seeing massive encouraging signs on offense either. And so I'm stuck feeling like, Justin Turner's been as good as he could possibly be, and the offense is still pretty mid. So slightly worse. Not counting them out either, but still worse for them.
See, yeah, I'm gonna hold firm. Like Barrios being
you were
like
lower. I feel like you were lower on Toronto going into the year than I
was. Yeah, I did not have them as a playoff team, I believe. So that'll probably explain that. Vlad and Bo are still working on getting going. They haven't been bad, but once those guys get up to speed, that'll be good. And then like the second level, like Ernie Clement and Davis Schneider and Kevin Biggio have all been like amazing and not necessarily what we expected. So I feel absolutely the same about the Toronto Blue Jays. The Boston Red Sox are 9 and 9. The Netflix special. I think I feel the same about them. But there is no team in baseball that confuses me more than
easily.
The Red Sox.
Like by far the team that is confusing me the most, that has fluctuated on a day-to-day basis, whether it is due to injury, whether it is due to incredibly impressive wins or incredibly impressive losses. I would have said, even with the mess, 2 days ago, I think I would have said absolutely still better. But now with Devers being injured, now with O'Neill being injured, we're dropped. Jansen blows another save. Like, again, there's so many encouraging things here. Their pitching has been so good in the rotation, and I still like a good amount of this offensive group. But there have been too many things that have gone wrong, and we're already here. They are at even at 9 and 9, they still found their way into last place.
I am going to say worse for one simple reason, and that is that Trevor Story's shoulder exploded. And he is out for the year. And that was just a guy they could not afford to lose. And we've seen that because they have like no middle infield depth in the organization. Marcelo Meyer is not ready to come up and play shortstop at the big league level. And Story was just loved in the room and was primed to kind of have a bounce back year. He's totally healthy. That is just such a bummer. And when we talk about early season things, like you can't be like, oh, well, it'll be fine in June. Like, no, like his shoulder's messed up and he's done for the year. And so that is a lasting impact from early season stuff. I have to say, though, like Cutter Crawford is really a spectacular find, a great development story. Kudos to them. But it's hard to just look at Trevor's Story being out for the year and say that I feel better about them. So I feel worse. And the vibes, I need someone to explain the Red Sox to me. I'm very confused. From the AL East to the AL Central, the 12-5 Cleveland Guardians, who bested the Red Sox last night in extra innings in a very fun game. Cleveland. I think you got to be feeling better about Cleveland, right?
Best record in baseball. I will see them on Saturday against Oakland for the first time. Looking forward to kind of seeing what their vibes are at, because I wouldn't say anything is especially shocking in terms of their. I think what is shocking in terms of their success is that it's not like the rotation has been awesome. You know, Bieber goes out after his 2 great starts, and since then, other than that, like McKenzie does not look good. Bobby's looked okay. Logan Allen, Carrasco has been, pretty solid. The bullpen, though, I don't know how much you've watched Cade Smith. You're going to be hearing me talk a lot about Cade Smith because he is tremendous. And their whole bullpen, Clase generally has looked really good. Hunter Gaddis, like this is all that magic that we've seen, Tampa Bay sprinkle on guys you never heard of. This group, and I'm going to talk about Minnesota here in a second too, but Cleveland, I think, especially with the offense, Josh Naylor looks tremendous. Quan looks like he did as a rookie. Much better.
I know I literally just said I feel worse about the Red Sox because they lost Trevor Story for the year. And now I'm saying I feel better about the Guardians, even though they lost Shane Bieber for the year. But I think it's because the Guardians have gotten to the best record in baseball because of their offense. And so I am going to just take the high side on the pitching from where it's been so far, like the starting pitching specifically, obviously. And I think they have, like, Allen, Bybee, McKenzie, I'm going to bet that they'll be better. Whereas Josh Naylor and Stephen Kwan have really impressed me. And those are guys who I think can keep that level of offensive production going. Not necessarily like a 197 OPS plus for Naylor, but I think the Guardians are good. I still think the Twins are better. Oh, and one last thing. I think it's pretty clear already. Stephen Vogt knows what he's doing. First-year manager for Cleveland, stepping into the shoes of Terry Francona. Feels like they haven't missed a beat in terms of game management and man management. And so I think that's super important.
Yep.
From the Guardians to the Royals, who are at 11-6, I feel the same about the Royals. I know Jordan's like, oh my God, you feel the same about the Royals?
Yeah, I just don't believe you. How could you possibly say that? This is you thought that this is what an absurd take. This is one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. This is like, were you forget 11-6? Like, did you think about them as like, yeah, they can definitely make the playoffs, which is how I feel now. Like they can definitely win the division. Like I do believe that now.
I don't.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
I don't, and
you
I don't
feel better.
That's
fine. I'm not saying you have to feel, but where we were.
Yeah. Starting. I feel slightly better. I'm just skeptical. I'm not buying this start for a couple reasons. I think that the second level of offensive players has just not shown anything except for MJ Melendez. And I'm not buying how good he has been. Maybe he's better. I don't think he's this much better. Nelson Velasquez has been great. That I need to see a little bit more of, but like haven't seen anything from Frazier, Michael Garcia, Kyle Isbell, Hunter Renfroe, Nick Lofton, Garrett. Like, I need more from that group, right? And then the second thing is the bullpen. This bullpen is not great. You're giving me one of those faces.
I don't know. The pitching staff, I don't think it's that bad. And I just think that the bar for offense is as low as it could possibly be in this division. That like Bobby Witt and some homies, Vinny's heating up. Like, we're going to get to Minnesota here in a second because I think they're relevant in this conversation, but that's fine.
I think I'm at call me in a month with the Kansas City Royals,
which is fine. So then let's go to Detroit, because Detroit, I feel the same. Detroit, who is 10-7 and has had some nice wins, I have not seen enough from them to feel any more encouraged. Might even argue, even with 10-7, that I'd feel slightly worse, but I wouldn't go that far. I was more optimistic on them coming into the season than Kansas City, but they have not done enough. Like, Kansas City has passed them for me.
I totally agree. I feel worse about the Tigers. We might just have different scales here.
Yeah.
Like, I felt better about Detroit than Kansas City coming into the year, and that is like the most notable development for me in this division is how that's flipped. And that's just because Detroit does not have any dudes on offense
At all.
Like,
it's really
Casey.
Yeah.
Casey has Witt and Vinny, who are boppers. Like, those guys rake. And Torkelson and Riley Green look like solid pieces. There are no offensive stars here. Parker Meadows has looked overmatched at the plate. Javi Baez cannot change. People cannot change. Do not let the boy hold the baby. Okay. And I'm very low on the offensive. Pitching has been good. Like, it's been pretty much.
I like their bullpen too. I think their bullpen is
amazing.
Like, I think Jason Foley is one of the best relievers in baseball. Like, I think that they have some decent things going to them. They're not at 10-7 completely by accident, but I have a hard time getting excited about this group. I would need to see so much more on offense.
I think if you combine the Tigers and the Royals, they could win the American League. Let's keep moving down the division. Yeah, hot take time. Move down the division. The 6-10 Minnesota Twins. I'm going to hold strong here and say I'm only feeling slightly worse. The main reason I would feel worse about them is just that they've lost Royce Lewis for an extended period of time. And now Carlos Correa. But Correa looking amazing for the first couple of weeks is a very encouraging sign. I'm not ready to jump ship, I guess is what I'm saying. Like,
That's fine. I'm feeling markedly worse. I'm not saying they can't get out of this. And I'll finish with some positive on the Twins here. But with Correa getting hurt again, with Buxton looking tremendous in center field, which warms my soul, but has not really been hitting it. Wallner already demoted. He looked terrible to start the season. Talk about that second level that hasn't really stepped up. Julian's been okay, but he's still hitting 189. So and the bigger concern is the starting rotation, which we knew, like, Lopez has been okay. Varland and Paddock are both rocking ERAs over 8, right? Ober hasn't really found his footing yet. Here's the positive, though. You mentioned it earlier about the Yankees. One of the most shocking stats that I found as I was doing my power rankings this week is that the Minnesota Twins, who have yet to get a single pitch from Yohan Duran or Justin Topa, who is also supposed to be like their 7th and 8th inning guy after they traded Jorge Polanco for him, neither of them have thrown a pitch, and they're first in bullpen strikeout percentage. That is Cole Sands, Brock Stewart, Cody Funderburk. This is a crazily impressive random group of guys who have been fantastic for the bullpen. Unfortunately, they haven't had a lot of leads. So it hasn't really mattered that much because the offense has been so pitiful. So again, you're never out of it in this division unless you're the team we're about to talk about. But I am definitely feeling worse. Definitely feeling worse.
Is Ryan Jeffers the most underrated catcher in baseball? Stay tuned. The 2-14 Chicago White Sox. Somehow we feel worse. That's amazing. That is a testament to their suck, because we were so low on this team to start the year, and I am even lower. And part of that is because manager Pedro Grifol and some of these players are not living in the real world. They are like the team meeting they held recently, where the sense is like, we still think we can compete. Like, we still got to go out there and win. Like, that's not what this is. This needs to be the goals need to be changed and success needs to be restructured. And until that happens, I think the White Sox, I've decided, Jordan, this is the most screwed organization in baseball. Like, I have no faith. I think the Rockies will be better before the White Sox are better.
It's a good debate. It's a very, very, very good debate. But yeah, I mean, we thought they were going to be one of at least the 3 worst teams, and now they're, I think, clearly the worst team in baseball. So no need to pile on anymore. They stink. Let's go to the AL West, where the 9-9 Texas Rangers are in first place. I feel a little bit worse about the Rangers, and it is mostly injury related, so maybe it's unfair. The offense has been what it needs to be, considering the number of guys that are out. But boy, are they patching it together now. We're going to talk about Jack Leiter's upcoming debut in the second half of the show. So maybe give them credit, the fact that their ERA is above average when you consider the pitchers that they've kind of cycled through. They just haven't quite gotten going yet. And I feel like this would feel a lot worse, and I'm going to say this about a few teams in this division, it would feel a lot worse if some of these other teams had their stuff together.
I mean, I'm encouraged by the offense, considering Langford has started slow and Josh Young has been hurt and Corey Seager has been merely pretty good and not a god. With all that in mind, them being 9-9, I would feel about the same for them, but I think I was lower on them entering the season. The thing with the Rangers, right, is can they tread water until the arms on the IL get back and are playing in the middle of the season? That's like the whole narrative of their season. So for the Rangers, call me in June. Let's move on to the Angels, who are 8-9. I have to say, I feel better about the Angels than I did at the beginning of the season. Now, I don't feel good about the Angels. I don't think they're a playoff team, but I kind of thought they'd suck, and I don't think they suck. And that is because of two major developments in my mind. One, Mike Trout is back. Mike Trout, what is it? Reports of his demise were greatly overstated. He is still Mike Trout, at least this year. I mean, he's raking up a storm. He is tied for the league lead in home runs with 7. It looks like Mike Trout. That's one. The second thing is Reed Detmers has been spectacular in his 3 starts and looks like a real number 2 starter. He's the truth. Yeah. And those two things I did not believe heading into the year, and now I do believe them. There are a lot of other areas of concern, notably Nolan Shanuel and Zach Neto not hitting. Logan O'Hoppe looks legit. But as a whole, and part of this is because I saw them on opening day against the Orioles, and the Orioles just boat raced them, right? Mm-hmm. Just kicked their ass in.
Yeah.
The Angels are better than that, I think.
Sure. I feel about the same. Yeah, definitely some encouraging things, but I like Detmers, and I believed in Trout. I believe it. Nothing has shocked me so far, and the struggles have not come to be surprising. So I thought they were headed towards 76 wins, and I feel like they are still. So that's where they're at for me. The Mariners of Seattle. I talked on Monday about how they've looked absolutely atrocious. They have promptly responded with 2 solid wins. Still a lot of questions on offense, although they did have 9 runs on Monday. I feel very slightly worse, just because how bad the offense has looked at times. But it's still early. The pitching has really turned a corner. Gilbert and Miller have been everything you could have possibly hoped. Castillo's certainly slightly worse, but Kirby has also looked good. So slightly worse. Again, it would be way worse if the rest of this division was doing anything. But I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling okay. I mean, it has not been pretty, so it has to be worse. But I'm not. I didn't really get that close to panicking. I feel worse.
I feel worse because Julio has just looked so bad.
Yeah, but when you're one of the best defensive center fielders ever and you can make the plays he did last night, it's just such a good reminder where it's like, oh yeah, that's kind of nice. But yeah, I mean, whatever. He's done this 3 years in a row, so it sucks. It'd be nice if he had a big, great April. But when he can be that good defensively, which is pretty amazing. So
the solution, go to winter ball, and then your April will be like your June.
Ooh, yeah. Well, he's tried that before. Jake, the Oakland A's are not in last place. I think they're absolutely have to feel better about them. I was very strong coming into the season that they will not be. They will be way more watchable, and I think a little bit better than last season. And that's looking good so far. There are still games where it's like, oh God, there's still parts of this stat line, and sometimes when you tune into the wrong game, and you're like, oh yeah, they're still one of the worst teams in the league.
They have 14 players.
They're frisky. They're frisky. They got enough talent that can show up on the right day that they can hang in there. So yeah, every once or twice a week they're going to look really bad, but they're fine. They're fine. I feel better about them.
The Oakland A's have played 18 games, and 9 of them have been 1-run games.
And what's their record in those games?
I think they're 5-4.
Yeah. Yes, they are 5-4 1-run games. Now remember, Mark Conte was very clear at the start of the season. Like, he challenged his players, we are going for 500. Like, that was what was publicly said as like
realistic.
Realistic, exactly. It's not like the White Sox, but like we're taking this very seriously. They understand the situation, that the cards that they've been dealt. So, do I think they're going to finish 500? No, but they're having a good time. They're not as depressed. I mean, they're depressing to watch for other reasons, but it's not the players' fault. I'm enjoying watching a lot of their players.
Jordan, pop quiz time. Mm-hmm. We're going to quickly turn this into a video. Please pull up the Oakland A's baseball reference page.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, for 2024. At the top of every baseball reference page, there are the pictures of the guys who are top 12 and wins above replacement. Mm-hmm. Please begin on the left and work towards the right and tell me who these people are. You have 25 seconds. Go.
Paul Blackburn, J.J. Bleday, Mason Miller, Zach Geloff. Number 5, I am pausing. I'm going to come back to that one.
Okay.
Esteury Ruiz, which is funny because he was demoted and then just came back and immediately hit a home run. So that's great.
Yep.
Then we have JP Sears, Shea Langoliers. I think that's Austin Adams.
It is not. Please
not
continue.
Austin Adams. That is another pitcher, I think.
Wrong. It's Michael Kelly. Next.
Michael Kelly. Okay, the next one is Austin Adams.
Yes, that's awesome.
The next one is Austin Adams. They have the same beard and the same smile. Okay. The last guy is, I am not sure, and the last guy is Abraham Toro. So
11 is Mitch Spence, and the one that you
0% chance I would have gotten that one. Is the other one Kyle Muller?
The other one is Kyle Muller. So Jordan, that is a very impressive performance.
Okay, yeah.
You missed only 2.
Michael Kelly and Mitch Spence. I can sleep at night knowing I missed those 2. Mitch Spence, Rule 5 pick. Michael Kelly had no idea he was on the A's.
Let's just be clear, everyone. That was just recognizing these people's faces. Jordan Shusterman doesn't just know ball; he knows ball face. Let's finish up this division, and then we'll take a quick break. The Houston Astros are 6-13, and you have to feel worse about them.
Yeah,
just because of the pitching injuries.
We knew the stretch they were going to was going to be tough, but this is quite the hole. Now, this is still one of the best offenses in baseball. And it's one of the worst pitching staffs. I mean, this is a ridiculous example of extremes, truly. You know, they have a team OPS plus of 125 and a team ERA plus of 75. That is about as polarized as you could get. And that's with Christian Javier and Ronel Blanco being about as good as you could possibly ask them to be. So, yeah, no, absolutely massive concerns on the mound. Josh Hader looks terrible. They're paying him a lot of money to not look terrible. Abreu and Presley haven't looked much better. Do I expect them to all have ERAs over 7? No. But yikes. I am absolutely concerned on the mound. I have to feel way worse.
This is, I think, the team I feel the biggest change about compared to the start of the year. Because we weren't high or excited about the Astros' arms, but we didn't think they were going to be the worst in the league. And I mean, losing Fromber is a huge deal, right? There's injuries in play for all of these things, and we haven't seen how serious that's going to be. Fromber's a huge part of that. He's one of the best, 15 pitchers in the league. So if he's not around, and you can say, oh, well, but they have God-level Ronel Blanco. Okay, that's nice. But I mean, credit to Hunter Brown for bouncing back the other day from what was happened before then. But no, it's bad. Worse, a lot worse. I'll take the over on Ronel Blanco's 0.86 ERA. All right, that's how we feel about the American League. Let's take a quick break, and then we will come back with the NL. And welcome back to Baseball Barbacast. Jake Mintz, Jordan Shusterman. We did the American League. It's time for the National League, and we will begin in the National League East, with the 11-5 Atlanta Braves. I think you have to say slightly worse, just because Spencer Strider is out for the entire season, and he is or was the best pitcher in the world, in my opinion. Now, I don't feel any worse about the Braves' chances of winning the division or making the playoffs, but I do feel worse about their chances of winning a World Series without Strider. And so I think you have to say, like, you can't say that you feel better about the Braves. Now, again, I was, as always, very high on the Braves entering the season. I thought they were better than the Dodgers before the year. I actually still think they're better than the Dodgers. But without Strider, even though they have more depth than I initially realized in the rotation, he's Spencer Strider, like, and he's not going to play. So.
Yep. Yeah. No notes. I don't feel that much worse otherwise. I mean, it's weird that Acuna hasn't homered, but other than that, they're awesome. So
the defending National League MVP has 0 home runs, and the Atlanta Braves have the best offensive baseball by a lot. It's like, what an amazing thing now.
So he is already up to 8 steals though. I don't know where that ranks. Yeah, he's tied for the league lead with Bryce Terang and Lane Thomas. Nats just keep running, man. We'll get to them here in a second, but let's go to the Phillies of Philadelphia. I think slightly worse for me.
Okay. There is no team I feel more the same about.
Yeah, that's fine. That's totally legit. That's completely fine. I think slightly worse. I think the reason why I'm going to say slightly worse is I just think that while, yes, all the same pieces, and maybe it is just fatigue for watching the same team over and over for the last 3 years, I just think that the ceiling for this offense is actually not as high as I thought. And part of that is just because I have so little faith in Nick Castellanos. Part of that is because I just think JT Realmuto is now just like a good hitter and not a great hitter. I think that Trey Turner, who has been pretty solid this season, I think that his offense is also already fluctuated, and maybe his cold stretch hasn't come yet. Like, it's a good offense. These are good players. Schwarber will be better than a 664 OPS. I'm just less encouraged by the offense, and then the pitching staff, which has been pretty good. The bullpen has had its moments in the wrong way. It's fine, but I haven't seen enough of the pitching. I mean, I guess Turnbull. You could say Turnbull has been a big thing. I'm really curious what happens with Taijuan Walker, who's apparently coming back soon. He's going to make him a $17 million long reliever. Like, I don't know what's going to happen there because Turnbull's certainly done his part, but it's slightly worse. I'm not panicking. I would still pick them to make the playoffs for sure. Maybe it is just fatigue. I'm not excited. I would like to see them really do something with this amount of talent, and it hasn't happened yet.
You definitely have a little bit of fatigue of watching the same team over and over again. I don't know how you don't.
I see. That's the thing. Fair, you would think you would have that more than me, but that's where I'm at. So
I'm still optimistic on a Realmuto bounce back. I think Brandon Marsh looks great. I know that he's striking out a ton, but I do think he is an everyday guy, and maybe was it last year. I am super worried about Nick Castellanos. I have very little faith that he's going to pull himself out of this rut. I'm not sure how that goes down. I am incredibly encouraged by Ranger Suarez, who threw a complete game shutout last night. I think Suarez is just a dog. And this was the first year, Matt Gelb wrote about this at The Athletic. This is the first year Suarez showed up to camp on time because of visa stuff. And so he had a real spring training, and he seems a little bit more locked in than he has in the past years. And we've seen him dominate in the playoffs the last 2 seasons. No reason he can't do that over a 6-month regular season. So that is a big green up arrow. I feel very similar about this team as I did before the season. Let's keep going through the division. The Mets are 9-8. They're hot, Jordan. The Mets are hot right now. 4 consecutive series wins. The vibe at the Yard, I was at Citi Field last night, is pretty good. Do you feel better about the Mets?
I don't think so. I think I'm about the same for them. There's still enough going on the mound here, and I know that their ERA is very good. And they've had, I know people love Reed Garrett. How can you not? 17 strikeouts in 8 2/3 innings. He's been great. Drew Smith is good. So I think I'm seeing some harsh regression coming on the mound for a lot of what's going on the mound. And then the offense is just so hot and cold that, well, of course I believe in Francisco Lindor being a better hitter than he has been. It's, again, like, I thought the Mets could be okay, and they've been okay. I think going to Dodger Stadium this weekend will be a nice test for them. And yeah, they're fine. I don't feel that different about them.
They're certainly not scary.
Yeah, I wouldn't put them in that bucket yet.
Jeff McNeil, I think, is just king mid. I don't think he's an impact player anymore. I mean, so Lindor starting so poorly, that I am not worried about. I think that David Stearns, the new Pobo, coming from Milwaukee, is of the I just know how to find outs.
Sure.
Style of thought. And so I would take the under on most of these starters and how they've performed so far, but I do think that they're going to find outs. And I feel the same about the Mets.
Okay.
I think I feel pretty much the same about the Mets.
Excited, even though, vibes you feel last night. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just important. Remember the vibes for the Mets are just a roller coaster.
No, I know.
Just up and down. Mendoza, I do like Mendoza. I think he's done. I think he's going to be good at the job. The Nats are 7-10. The Washington Nationals are 7-10. I feel the same about the Nats as I did before the season. Bright spots. CJ Abrams looking like a dude.
He's awesome.
Jesse Winker resurgence.
Unbelievable. Jesse Winker is we're back in 2021.
He's running a 500 OBP.
Yeah. He's hitting the ball hard. He smashed a homer last night. I think I can't say better because this bullpen is still a total mess and Patrick Corbin's still throwing baseballs every 5 days. So I may be leaning towards slightly better because I think that James Wood will be up soon. I think Dylan Cruz will be up also not that long from now. Luis Garcia has looked tremendous. Ruiz is the part of the core pieces that has been disappointing. I know he's been sick and injured, so
I'm telling you, dude.
Leaning
Riley
slightly.
Riley Adams
been
is
awesome.
better than Ruiz. He's better than Ruiz.
Sure looks like it so far. So maybe leaning slightly towards better, but I can't get too excited. So
Mackenzie Gore. Yeah. Mackenzie Gore has looked really good too. But besides Winker, it's a bad outfield, dude. It is a bad outfield.
Yeah.
The Miami Marlins are 4-14. They won last night. Beat the Giants for the fourth win of the year.
Yeah.
They are worse. They are much worse. Some of that has to do with Yuri Perez being out for the season. But I have a piece going up at Yahoo today kind of about how the Marlins got to where they are in terms of Skip Schumacher leading the team and Peter Bendix and the ownership. And I think the news of Skip departing at the end of the season likely won't really impact how he runs the club this year. However, it just casts such a gray shadow over the whole operation. And I think that Bendix is going to be more likely and willing to just trade anything of value at the deadline. And so my outlook for the Marlins is much, much worse than it was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, and to that point, we wondered if they'd trade Luzardo before the season. He has not looked great. That's one where, come July, if they do want to trade him, maybe they're really not getting as much as, this is some of the risk with it's like, oh, just take Dylan Cease to the deadline. It's like, well, you might not want to wait that long. So I believe in Luzardo's talent.
Brown.
But yeah.
Bananas turned brown. The offense has just been horrifyingly bad.
Just atrocious. Which isn't a shock. And now Jake Berger's hurt. It's terrible. They think they're going to try to be worse. And it's unfortunate.
Two other things. The Max Meyer demotion is stupid and silly and predictable. One bright spot. Ryan Weathers looks amazing. Yeah. It wouldn't be a Miami Marlins season if some pitcher that you forgot about or haven't heard of turned into a very quality starter. He's looked great. They acquired him at the deadline, I think, last year. Yeah. Been impressed by that.
I love Max Meyer, and I was disappointed by that too. He's also come back from TJ. They're going to manage his innings this year too. on a terrible team, like whatever. I can't get to. I understand fans being frustrated, and if it's you thinking about it, but like it's that's to me that is just we're being cautious here.
Be more concerned that you have one of the best 5 managers in baseball, and decisions from your front office and leadership group seem to be driving him out the door. That is much more concerning than Max Meyer not being in the big leagues, in my opinion. Let's move to the National League Central, where the Milwaukee Brewers are 10-6, leading the pack. I think this is the team I feel I have like the biggest green arrow up in terms of I feel better about them than I did to start the season. Where are you at with the Brewers?
Definitely better. Obviously, I saw them for a couple of days last week, wrote about William Contreras, all in on him. He's continued to look fantastic. And yeah, I think offensively, I know Yelich just hit the IL. Offensively, I think there's just been a lot to be encouraged about. But man, I mean, I'm still looking. I know the numbers have been okay so far, but DL Hall has not looked awesome. Joe Ross, Colin Ray, okay. I'm just looking at that starting staff and wondering if that's really going to hold up. I still feel better about the Brewers in general, but I'm still hesitant to kind of go all in with them because of kind of the state of the pitching staff.
Yeah, they bang though.
Which is new. That's not like Blake Perkins is raking. Like they got, and Chourio's like, Chourio's starting to find it. And like Chourio's going to go on a heater here where you're like, oh, right. He's like one of the most talented players some scouts have ever seen. Like, of course. Yeah. So Willie Adames looks awesome. Like they've had a lot. I feel better about them. I just can't go all in on them as like a definite division favorite yet.
The Pittsburgh Pirates are 11-7. They are in an L2. I've watched them lose with my own 2 eyeballs the last 2 nights. And I'm going to say I feel slightly better about the Pirates.
I agree.
Slightly better. Mostly because of the pitching staff. These arms are legit. Jared Jones. Let's just talk about Jared Jones now.
Let's do it.
I was in attendance for him last night. One of the most impressive pitching performances I've seen in a while. Downright dominant. Just like dominant against the Mets. He is 22 years old, and he made the Mets look like a Little League team. Did you watch this one or watch this one back?
Oh, yeah. I watched it back. He is now up to 32 strikeouts and 2 walks through his first 4 starts of his career. If you watched him in spring, like, yeah, you know, this is an example of like when I saw it in spring training, I was like, oh no, this matters. This is a spring training thing that is happening. You can see pitchers figure it out, and there was nothing fluky about it, regardless of what lineups he was facing then. I was like, this looks like an extremely good major league pitcher, and that is what he has been so far through 4 starts.
Okay, so like, yeah, the Mets make a ton of contact in the zone. Okay, believe they were 5th in zone contact rate before last night, when Jared Jones single-handedly sent them down to 7th. Dear God. No, he's remarkable. I just refuse to believe that Paul Skeens is going to be better than this when he comes up. Like, Paul Skeens is amazing. I understand. I'm not trying to throw water on that. But if Paul Skeens comes up and does what Jared Jones has done so far, if he does like 3/4 of what Jared Jones has done so far, people would be losing their minds. And like, this dude is the real deal.
Yeah.
The real deal.
And that was my point in spring. Like, I understand you should want both these guys in rotation. I think you're going to get that soon. I think that is going to happen in the near future as he's looked excellent in AAA. Yeah. But it's also a reminder of like Jones' high school pick, 2020. He got better every season. And whether that's a credit to him, whether it's a credit to Pirates PD, I'm sure it's a mix of the two. He had thrown 6 good innings in AAA last year, right? Like he had made the progressions and had proven it at every level in a way that Paul Skeens is now doing in his short time in pro ball, but it's not the same thing. And that's why Jones got that opportunity right out of camp.
Can I say something irresponsible?
Please.
It is a bummer that Spencer Strider is out for the year. Mm-hmm. If you want to fill that same kind of void in your heart and watch a similar type of arm, Jared Jones is not the same. Again, it's not the same, but he's not different.
When I watched him in spring, it was like I just felt like I was looking around like, is everyone seeing this? Like, This is, and it was funny because again, he was doing it, and then like the 3 pitches that Skeens would throw, people would share 500 times more, and it was like, no, but he's on the same team and he's throwing the same pitches, and they're even better than Skeens. Like, oh, I don't know what we want here. Like,
well, that's the thing, right? Like, Jared Jones's fastball is like a tick slower than Skeens, but the shape on it is way better, right? It's coming from a lower slot, and it has more ride and rise on it. It's a better pitch than Skeens' fastball, which is insane because Skeens is sitting like 101. Like, I understand it. That's a crazy thing to say.
Yeah.
But we know this about fastball shape now, and
we will see
I'm all in on
Skeens.
Jared
We will
Jones.
see Skeens soon. We will see them back to back. It is going to be a very funny mix. When I know Marco Gonzalez just got hurt, but if they could go like every other day, Jones, Martin, Perez, Skeens, that's hilarious. Dude. But it's not surprising.
Seeing Jared Jones, it was Jared Jones against Jose Quintana last night at Citi Field. It was an unbelievable vibe switch every time the inning changed. Martin Perez has reached that guy knows how to pitch territory.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
He is just a lefty. He's keeping guys off balance.
He's done that before, and it would not surprise me at all if he can do something between his miraculous All-Star season in 2022 and his year of regression in 2023. Like, there was no way he's going to replicate his All-Star season, and I also don't think he was as bad as he looked last season because he knows what he's doing.
Just to wrap things up on the Pirates, though, we only feel slightly better about them because this offense kind of stinks right now, playing above their skis. I'm worried about O'Neal Cruz specifically against left-handed hitting. He has looked really out of sorts. I think his like OPS against lefties in his big league career is under 550.
Yeah, I can tell you that right now. So Cruz, and his overall line is no bueno. But for his career now, 831 OPS against right-handers, 493 against lefties. And that is troublesome. And it seems that last night they moved him. They finally started to move him down in the order. I know that was against the left-hander. It'll be interesting to see if that changes for the just in general. But I don't know. I don't know what the right solution is for this Pirates lineup because they're searching right now.
That's Jake Mintz and Jordan Shusterman serving the big markets with 25 minutes of Pirates chat here on Baseball Barbecue.
All right, let's do 30 seconds on the Cubs. I feel the same. I think the same about the Cubs. I think I was slightly lower on the Cubs than you. They are 10-7. They have a positive run differential. Last night was a tough one. Their bullpen has had some not so good moments in the early going. Kyle Hendricks is looking yikes. I know he's one of your favorites. Imanaga's been tremendous. Assad, the best pitcher on earth, has been great. And we're just waiting for those veterans to get going. Nice to see Ian Happ finally hit a homer last night because Bellinger, Happ, Swanson have not been doing their heavy lifting so far. It really has been about Michael Busch and Seiya Suzuki, who's now hurt. So it is evened out for me. I'm around the same level. I think they can make a push for this division. I don't feel they are the one team that I feel most confident in not finishing last, but also I'm not super feeling awesome that they're going to finish first. So that's where I'm at with the Cubs.
Yeah, I feel the same about the Cubs. Losing Justin Steele has been tough.
Yeah.
Because it feels like they're one starting pitcher short, and they might be two starting pitchers short whenever they pull the plug on Kyle Hendricks, who, yes, is one of my favorites. Like, on my list of like story ideas this year, I have, how is Kyle Hendricks still doing this in an era where everyone is throwing 100 miles an hour and he's throwing 89? And like yesterday I went and saw that on my ideas list. I was like, ooh,
he's allowed
maybe we'll
31 hits in 17 innings, which is a tough scene. But are you feeling, so you're about the same or worse?
About the same.
Okay.
About the same. The Reds are 9-8. I feel very the same about the Reds.
Yes. I also feel very the same about the Reds. Maybe slight. They've had so many injuries too, but yeah, I'm at the same too. Lodolo being back. Oh man, did he look at me? I know it was the White Sox, but like he can absolutely be their best starter. That's a huge deal for them. Excited to have him back. But I agree, they're still in the middle, the messy middle for me.
Some good things from Ellie so far.
Yeah, no, Ellie's done his part, man.
That's great.
I have more Ellie thoughts. I'll save them for another podcast. He's been great. Spencer Steer is the truth. I can't like he did it for the entirety of last season, and then we came in this year and we were like, oh, like no. Spencer Steer is their best hitter, and he is going to continue to be that.
Let's finish this up with the 9-9 St. Louis Cardinals. I'm going to say I feel worse about them, and that's just because Arenado and Goldschmidt have been so bad, and I think every day that goes on where they're still not hitting, it's fair to be like, how washed are they?
Right. I mean, we did this last year and they rebounded.
Right. I don't think they're totally cooked, but they may not be two of the best 20 hitters in the world anymore.
The good news is they're not already in the same hole that they started to dig themselves in last year. I absolutely feel worse about them because of the offense has not come together yet. And that's what I was counting on when I picked them to win the division. So, yeah, I feel worse. I don't think they're doomed, but I definitely feel worse.
The rotation of grandfathers has been about what we expected. Sonny Gray, in his 2 starts, has not allowed a run. He does not count as a grandpa in my mind. He's only 34. Let's finish up last division here, the National League West. I feel worse about the Los Angeles Dodgers at 12-8. I have to say, I don't feel way worse. I'm not worried about them. I still think they're one
of the 3 best teams in the league, but I feel worse, yeah.
I still think they're going to win the division. I think I feel worse about them just because the bottom of this lineup is not good. And I don't think it is going to get a whole lot better. I don't think Chris Taylor, Gavin Lux, and Kike Hernandez have shown me the right type of glimpses where I should be encouraged.
Yep. Outman also looking a little bit shakier. To me, it's that and the bullpen besides Evan Phillips I'm also not crazy about.
Daniel Hudson, though.
Daniel Hudson's been good, and they're going to get Buehler back here. So, the rotation, I think, could still round out to be pretty awesome. But now Bobby Miller's hurt. So, yeah, I think I have to say worse. Again, I still think this is one of the best teams in the league for sure. But where we were at, there's enough red flags that worse.
I've enjoyed like the Teoscar season and how he just gives them, in my mind, like a big 5 alongside Will Smith.
Yeah. It's just, here's the thing about him, right? Like, this is the role he's meant to play.
Oh,
he can strike out 40% of the time, and it doesn't matter because he's not supposed to be one or two best hitters. He's supposed to be the 5th. He's like Ohtani's best friend now. Like, he's great. I'm very happy for him.
The Padres are 11-9. I feel the same about them, but that's just because I was optimistic heading into the season. I would imagine that you probably feel a little bit better about the Padres.
Yeah, just a little bit better. I was also pretty optimistic, but just the fact that what they've gotten out of their Profar Jackson Merrill combo. We know Jackson Merrill was very talented, but that being plan A for the outfield felt very sketchy, and it has been very good so far. Little worried about Bogarts, but other than that, and this pitching staff, I'm still, as much as I love Cease and he's really started to turn it on, I'm still concerned about the rotation in a very real way. So it's hard to get too excited about them, but I guess I still feel slightly better.
The thing I feel the best about is Jake Cronenworth.
100%.
Pull this up right now, Jordan.
Yeah.
Go to Jake Cronenworth's Baseball Savant page.
Yeah. No, I just
Do you have it open?
Cronenworth last week. No, he's
pull it open.
I'll
open it. Open it, and you know where you can go 2024 MLB percentile rankings?
Yeah.
Go to 2024, click on 2023, and then click on 2024 again, and just go back and forth.
Well,
the red to blue switch so far, I know it's early.
Well,
it's a very satisfying
know what it really
one.
is. You want to switch between 2024 and 2023. How about you switch between 2024 and 2020? This is what Cronenworth was when he first came up and when we were all wearing masks. So we've seen this version of this, and he's just gotten worse and worse over the last 2 seasons. The fact that he's a first baseman now is so ridiculous, but it's working out. And if he can hit like a first baseman, which he finally is, he has not been the last 2 years, then he's going to be a great player, and good for him.
The Arizona Diamondbacks, I feel pretty much the same. My one worry with them is at shortstop. Losing Perdomo has pushed Blaze Alexander to short, and he has hit so far, but defensively is a mess.
Which is weird because he was known for his defense, more so his arm when he was younger. The thing with him, now they have, it's not an accident they signed Kevin Newman to kind of play some defensive innings there, for better or for worse. I I think I feel slightly worse. I mean, this bullpen, again, they squeaked it out last night because of Miguel Castro, but it's exactly what I was worried about. I mean, they did nothing to change it, and these guys look like they just pitched all of October. Like, that's how it's looked. And, we're still waiting to get Jordan Montgomery. We're still waiting to get Erod back. Gallen's been great. Ryan Nelson had a really good start recently. I think I still feel slightly worse, but maybe it is about the same. I mean, we were kind of skeptical coming into the season, so maybe that's harsh.
And Corbin Carroll hasn't really gotten going yet so far this season. Now, I would say that there are one or two areas of concern with Corbin Carroll right now. He is not impacting the baseball. He is not hitting it hard. I'm just going to lean towards Corbin Carroll being good. And so if this is still the case with his batted ball data in a month, we can revisit it. But for now, it's fine. The Giants are 7-11. I actually think I feel the same about them. You were higher on them than I was heading into the year. I think Jordan Hicks going from like mid reliever who throws hard to like very good starting pitcher looks sustainable and looks like a big win for them. Logan Webb is underwhelmed. Kyle Harrison is underwhelmed so far this year. I'm still high on both those guys. But the offense is just not.
It sucks that they've changed this much and it has the same energy. And that's why I think I do feel worse. And that's because I was pretty optimistic about this group. So not burying them yet. To me, it's kind of similar to the Cardinals, so that they are finding themselves in a deeper hole a lot faster. So they're going to have to kind of turn it around, but I still see a lot of this talent, and I think Blake Snell is going to start to help them soon. I know the first two starts have not been pretty, but I think that that's still a huge deal that they have him now.
And the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah. Now, do we feel worse about them in the same way that we did about the White Sox? No, I think this has basically been exactly what we expected.
Jordan Shusterman, pop quiz number 2. Please pull up the Colorado Rockies baseball reference page.
All right.
From the left, please.
Okay, here we go. Ryan McMahon, Ezekiel Tovar, Victor Vodnik, who I have been a fan of for quite some time. Jake
You're
Cave,
a freak.
Still wearing his Phillies hat.
You're a freak.
I'm putting my hands up so that you see I'm not cheating.
I know.
Jacob Stallings. I believe the next gentleman is Ryan Feltner, but I'm not sure about it.
It is Peter Lambert.
Damn it. Oh, is Feltner? I think Feltner's on here somewhere, but I don't think that's okay. Peter Lambert. I should have recognized him. We saw him in A-ball when he was like 10 years old. The next player is also a pitcher who I don't know. The pitcher after that is Nick Mears, I believe, who's also good. I like Nick Mears. Okay. Then we have All-Star Game MVP Elias Diaz. Then I think it's Ryan Feltner is this, I think, the next one. Then I have absolutely no clue who the last two are. I'm going to try and think about it for 3 seconds.
Okay.
Is one of them Jake Bird? I know he's like been.
Yep.
Which one? Which one of the last two?
The second one.
The second one is Jake Bird. Okay. So help me out on, I recognize the guy after I have like 0 clue on the second to last guy, like absolutely like negative idea.
Okay.
But the guy in the middle, I do recognize between Lambert and Mears, I do recognize.
Yeah. So the reason you recognize him is that he was the big piece who came to Colorado and then Austin Gomber in the Nolan Arenado trade. Yeah. And then the guy you have no idea is Jalen Beeks at the end.
Wow, that's Jalen. Wait, seriously?
Yeah, he grew out a little beard piece.
Okay,
anyway,
beard
Jordan
is
Shusterman
totally threw me. I apologize for that.
Jordan Shusterman seeing a picture of Ryan Feltner.
Can I explain why?
Being
like again, this is a good peek behind the curtain. The only reason I was able to do this, although I would recognize Victor Vodnik because I've been on him for a minute, is because for the power rankings that I wrote this week, which you can check out, instead of explaining my pick, like why I ranked anyone where they did, because again, it's a futile, task. I picked one player who's like been a positive surprise for every team, and that was fun to just go through and be like, oh, okay, that guy. And so when I got to the Rockies, it was like, the hell am I supposed to, like, what am I possibly supposed to say here? And I almost did Victor Vodnik and Nick Mears because they've been good, but instead I ended up just laughing at Michael Toglia's line because he has 5 hits and 4 home runs and like 18 strikeouts and 0 walks. But that's the only reason why Victor Vodnik and Nick Mears are top of mind. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that. That was incredibly embarrassing for me, and I hope you all understand how my brain works now. Jake, as always, the task we set out to do on this podcast lasted longer than we expected. I still want to talk about Jack Leiter, so can we talk about Jack Leiter for a couple minutes?
Let's talk about Jack Leiter, and then we will say goodbye. We'll talk about John Sterling on Friday.
Let's do that. Jack Leiter is making his Major League debut tomorrow, I believe, for the Texas Rangers. Again, this is partly a product of the fact that the Rangers are very injured, and Cody Bradford just hit the IL, and they've just been scrambling for innings, obviously, as many teams have been. But Jack Leiter, who was the number 2 overall pick in 2021, has seemingly turned a corner. And this has gone up and down in a lot of ways over the last couple seasons. They sent him straight to Double-A after they drafted him in 21 or in 22, and the command just vanished. And the command that was already probably shakier than I think we thought when he was at Vanderbilt and throwing however many no hitters in a row, or at least it felt like it when we were watching him then. It was shoddy, and the fastball was not playing the same against pro hitters as it was against the SEC. And it kind of took some soul searching there for Jack Leiter to figure out his mechanics, to figure out what it was going to take to be a good Major League starter. So far this year in 3 outings, 25 strikeouts and 3 walks. And it's a good turnaround. Now, again, I think it's not like, because he wasn't really dealing with injuries and because the stuff was still pretty good and the strikeouts were there was no reason to fall all the way off here. But he is a cautionary tale. Again, when we talk about guys like Paul Skeens, it's great that we can hype up and we love college baseball and we want to promote it as much as possible. But pro baseball, it's just harder, right? And so it's not always as simple as, wow, look at what he's making this guy look at this level. Pro baseball, Major League Baseball is a lot different, and the hitters are just more used to seeing stuff as good as Jack Leiter's when he was at Vanderbilt, and it's taken him some time to kind of learn that. And I don't know how many starts he's going to make in the big leagues this year. I don't know if he's going to stick as a starting pitcher, but it's cool that he's kind of wrapped it back around to where now you can sort of see it, and you can, when you watch him, you're like, yeah, like that looks like a pretty good starting pitcher at the Major League level. He still has a lot to prove. We're still working with a really small sample of starts in pro ball, but I'm curious to see what he looks like, because there's still reasons to be a little bit skeptical, but also, he's about to turn 24 and he's still very, very talented.
Yeah. Young, smart, athletic, with good fastball shape. That's a great starting point. Let's see how it plays in the big leagues.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jake. We will end the pod here. We will talk about John Sterling and a handful of other topics later on this week. Couple other call-ups. We got some quality good, bad, ugly content coming for later this week, but we will cut it off here. So thank you all for listening to this Wednesday edition of Baseball Barbacast. Thank you to Andrew Hartz for producing as always.
Jordan, I got to say, I feel better about you than I did before the year started.
Wow. You know what?
Worse about myself. No, I'm kidding.
It cancels out then. And we feel the same about Baseball Barbacast. Let us know. You let us know. If you're a fan of one of these teams and you're like, what are you talking about? I feel way better or way worse. Let us know. baseballbarbacast@gmail.com. Because we would love to hear from you.
And this is something that I run into a lot. Like, it is really hard for anybody to know intimately 30 baseball teams at the same time, right? Now, I believe that fans of many of these teams know their respective teams better than we do, right? And so I will always cede to someone who's watching every game every day when it comes to their perspective. Because, like, I think, like, our ball knowing skills are very good. And if we watched the, Rangers every day, we would understand the Rangers 100%. But there are only 24 hours in the day, and at least 4 of them are for sleeping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, around then, give or take. Well said. Thank you, sir. Thank you, friend. Thank you, Andrew Hart. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And we'll talk to you on Friday. Bye.